Welcome to Understand the Math. This video is part of a series of videos on linear algebra and its applications and covers section 2.3, part 1 on the invertible matrix theorem. I'll break down the invertible matrix theorem in a simple and understandable way, and then walk through some example problems to show how to determine if a matrix is invertible. Be sure to check out the link below for free guided notes that you can highlight and fill in as you watch this video. The invertible matrix theorem is a fundamental result in linear algebra, and it characterizes when a square matrix is invertible. It lists several conditions, all of which are equivalent. This means that if any one of the conditions is true for a given matrix, then all of them are true. It also means that if any one condition is false, then all the conditions are false. Let's now walk through the 12 conditions listed in this theorem. As we go through this course, we'll be adding more conditions to the theorem. Since the invertible matrix theorem applies only to square matrices, the assumption is that A is an n by n matrix. The following statements in the theorem are logically equivalent, just as we talked about above, meaning that if any one is true, then all are true. The first statement in the theorem says that A is an invertible matrix. This just means that A inverse exists. The second statement says that A is row equivalent to the n by n identity matrix. This means that A can be reduced to I by performing row operations. The third statement says that A has n pivot positions. This is the same thing as saying that every column has a pivot. The fourth statement says that the equation ax is equal to 0 has only the trivial solution, and that solution is x is equal to 0. The fifth statement says that the columns of A form a linearly independent set. The columns are going to be linearly independent because every column has a pivot. The sixth statement is about a linear transformation, and it says that the linear transformation t of x is equal to ax is 1 to 1. When a linear transformation is 1 to 1, ax is equal to b has a unique solution, and every column has a pivot. The seventh statement says that the equation ax is equal to b has at least one solution for every b in Rn. We know this because if every column has a pivot, every row will have a pivot because it's a square matrix. When this condition states that ax is equal to b has at least one solution, it's confirming that a solution exists. When the statement is combined with others in the theorem, it shows that the solution is not just existent, but it's also unique. Condition number 8 says that the columns of A span Rn, and we know this is true because we have n pivots. Statement 9 is another statement about linear transformations, and it says that the linear transformation t of x is equal to ax maps Rn onto Rn. This is because every row has a pivot. We're going to look at statements 10 and 11 together. They are the definitions of invertibility for A, so these statements just tell us that A is invertible. Our last statement talks about the transpose of matrix A being an invertible matrix. I don't think this one is as obvious, so I want to show you where this one comes from. If we start with the condition for the invertibility of A, and then we take the transpose of each expression, we end up with a condition for the invertibility of A transpose. So this just tells us that A transpose is invertible. Before we walk through some example problems, I want to tie the invertible matrix theorem to solutions to a linear system of equations. This is what we spent so much time studying back in chapter 1. When we have one solution, our matrix A is invertible. That's because every column has a pivot. When we have no solution or infinitely many solutions, our matrix A is not invertible. We're now going to use the invertible matrix theorem to help us determine if a given matrix is invertible or not invertible. Before we look at specific examples, we need to go over some definitions. An upper triangular matrix is a square matrix where all the entries below the main diagonal are equal to 0. A lower triangular matrix is a square matrix where all the entries above the main diagonal are equal to 0. When we walk through our example problems, it's going to be really important to note that the transpose of an upper triangular matrix is a lower triangular matrix and vice versa. A diagonal matrix is a square matrix where all the entries outside the main diagonal are equal to 0. By definition, one or more of the diagonal elements can also be equal to 0. Let's make a note that a diagonal matrix is both a lower triangular matrix and an upper triangular matrix. To make it easier to determine if a matrix is invertible or not, I've classified certain matrices as either invertible or not invertible. Let's start by looking at cases where matrices are invertible. In the case where A is an upper triangular matrix without zeros on the diagonal, such as the one that I've listed here as an example, we know that it's going to be invertible because every column has a pivot. In the case where A is a lower triangular matrix without zeros on the diagonal, such as the one I've listed here, we can know that A transpose is going to be an upper triangular matrix, and hence it's invertible, and then that tells us that A is invertible. In the case where A is a diagonal matrix without zeros on the diagonal, every column has a pivot, and the matrix is invertible. When a matrix contains rows that are multiples of each other, such as these two rows, or a row of zeros, such as this, there is a column that's missing a pivot, so the matrix is not invertible. When a matrix contains columns that are multiples of each other, or what we might call dependent columns, then we can see that A transpose is going to have rows that are multiples of each other, and that's going to lead to a row of zeros, so the matrix is not invertible. Lastly, when a matrix contains a column of zeros, we can see two ways how the matrix is not invertible. We can see that the column of zeros makes the columns in the matrix dependent, so the matrix is not invertible. And we can also see that A transpose contains a row of zeros, so A transpose is not invertible, and then A is not invertible. Let's now walk through some example problems where we're asked to determine whether or not the following matrices are invertible, and then provide justification for our answer. Let's look at the first example. You might notice that the rows are multiples of each other, and that the columns are dependent. Because of this, this matrix is not invertible. Let's look at our second example. This matrix is a lower triangular matrix with non-zero entries along the diagonal, so it is invertible. Remember that for this type of matrix, its transpose has a pivot in every column. In example 3, you might notice right away that rows 1 and 2 are multiples of each other. So when this becomes reduced, we're going to have a row of zeros, so the matrix is not invertible. In example 4, your eye might be drawn to this column because it's a column of zeros. This means that the columns are not independent, so our matrix is not invertible. And then also, when you transpose the matrix, you're going to have a row of zeros. So A transpose is not invertible. Let's now look at the last example. This example is an example of a diagonal matrix, and the diagonal entries are non-zero, so that means that our matrix is invertible, and you can also see that every column has a pivot. sure to check out the next video in this series, where we'll use the information that we just learned about the invertible matrix theorem to learn all about inverse linear transformations. If this video has been helpful to you, please consider subscribing to my channel. Keep believing in yourself and have a great rest of your day.